Imagine you're 19 years old. You've spent years locked in your bedroom making videos that nobody watches. Then, a brand finally sees a flicker of potential and offers you $5,000. More money than you've ever seen. What do? You take it and celebrate, right? Pay some bills, maybe get a better camera. That's the logical move. But for a quiet kid from North Carolina named Jimmy Donaldson, logic was beside the point. He looked at the money, a life-changing amount for him, and had an idea that sounded like pure insanity. Instead of just taking the $5,000, he asked for double, $10,000, with one condition. He would walk outside and give every single penny to a complete stranger. That one decision, the choice to risk it all for a chaotic, generous, and completely wild idea, that was the spark that ignited a global phenomenon. But that moment didn't come out of nowhere. To understand how a painfully shy teenager with no audience and no friends built the biggest YouTube channel on earth, you have to go back to 0 views, 0 friends, and one seemingly impossible dream. This story doesn't start with a bang, it starts with a whisper. Long before the private islands and stacks of cash, there was just Jimmy Donaldson, a quiet kid in Greenville, North Carolina. He'd be the first to tell you he was no social butterfly. He was an introvert who spent most of his time alone, a trait that would ironically become his greatest asset. In February 2012, at just 13, he started a channel called MrBeast 6000. Why the 6000? MrBeast was already taken. It was an unremarkable beginning for what would become a cultural force of nature. His first videos were a random mix of what every other kid was trying. He'd upload Let's Plays of Minecraft and Call of Duty, or make videos guessing how much other, more famous YouTubers were making. He was a student of the platform, obsessively trying to crack the code. But for years, nothing stuck. His content, like millions of others, was simply invisible. His very first video scraped together a few thousand views, just a small taste of what was possible. But what came next was a harsh reality check. He later said that after that tiny blip, the next 500 or so videos he uploaded got almost no views at all. Think about that. Hundreds of videos, each one representing hours of work, all met with total silence. It was like screaming into a digital void. This period, from 2012 to 2016, was an absolutely relentless grind. While his friends were navigating high school, Jimmy was holed up with a hand-me-down laptop, reverse engineering YouTube. He and a few other aspiring creators, guys who would later become his core team, spent countless hours on Skype, dissecting viral videos. They analyzed everything: titles, thumbnail colors, audience retention graphs, pacing. It wasn't a hobby, it was a full-blown obsession. They were a small, self-made think tank trying to solve the YouTube puzzle, laying the foundation brick by painful brick, in complete obscurity. The pressure wasn't just online. His mom gave him an ultimatum: go to college or move out. She saw her son pouring his entire life into a computer with nothing to show for it, and, understandably, she was worried. Jimmy enrolled in community college, but dropped out after just 2 weeks. He couldn't sit in a classroom when his real education was happening on his YouTube channel. He chose the dream, risking his relationship with his family and facing an uncertain future. He was all in. There was no plan B. After 4 long years in the YouTube wilderness, Jimmy finally hit a milestone in mid-2016, 100,000 subscribers. This was the turning point. It was the moment he could finally start earning real money from his videos. But the money was never the goal. It was the fuel. He wasn't cashing out. He was doubling down. During this time, he experimented with a series called Worst Intros, where he'd find and make fun of cringy YouTube video openings. This wasn't just for laughs. It was market research. By analyzing thousands of failures, he was fine-tuning his own instincts about what grabs, and more importantly, keeps a viewer's attention. He was learning that the first 3 seconds of a video decide its fate. But the real breakthrough, the moment he went from a grinder to a viral star, came from an idea so simple and so absurd it was impossible to ignore. In January 2017, he uploaded "I Counted to 100,000" for nearly 24 hours on camera, a process that took him almost 40 hours to actually record. Jimmy just sat in a chair and counted, one by one, all the way to 100,000. The video was bizarre, a feat of human endurance and sheer boredom, and people were fascinated. Why would anyone do this? What happens to your mind when you hit 80,000? It was a question nobody knew they had, but once it was asked, they had to see the answer. The video went spectacularly viral. It was the perfect storm. A clickable title, a weird concept, and undeniable effort. That was the light bulb moment. Jimmy realized the secret wasn't to play the game better than everyone else. It was to invent a completely new game. The future wasn't in gaming or commentary. It was in doing interesting, difficult, and ridiculous things no one else was willing to do. He immediately followed up with similar stunts, like watching a music video on repeat for 10 hours, reading the entire dictionary, and spinning a fidget spinner for a full day. Each video was more absurd than the last, and his audience exploded. Shortly after the counting video, the shy 19-year-old who'd spent years in obscurity blasted past 1 million subscribers. The grind had paid off. With his channel now growing like crazy, Jimmy had a new kind of power, influence. And with influence came brand deals. In 2017, a digital collectibles app called Quid offered him $10,000 for a sponsorship, a mind-boggling sum for someone who, not long before, was making nothing. This was the moment that would define the MrBeast philosophy. Instead of pocketing the cash, he decided to turn the sponsorship itself into the main event. This brings us back to the beginning of our story. He got that $10,000, walked outside, and filmed himself giving the entire stack of cash to a homeless man. The man's reaction, shock, disbelief, pure emotion, was unlike anything people had seen on YouTube. It wasn't a prank. It wasn't a social experiment. It was a raw, unfiltered act of generosity that changed someone's life. The video was a monumental success, not just in views, but in forging a new identity for his channel. Jimmy had found the second key to his kingdom. Giving money away was way more interesting than earning it. He quickly realized that philanthropy wasn't just a good deed. It was a revolutionary content strategy. It created a powerful feedback loop. Brands would pay him, he would give 100% of the money away in a spectacular video. That video would get enormous views, which would then attract even bigger brands willing to pay even more for the next one. He had created a perpetual motion machine of giving. By 2018, he had given away over $1 million, earning the title YouTube's biggest philanthropist. He was no longer just the guy who did crazy stunts. He was the guy who changed lives. This also meant he had to scale up his operations. To keep making bigger and better videos, he reinvested every single dollar he earned. The kid who started with a borrowed laptop was now running a full-blown production studio. In 2020, the average MrBeast video cost around $300,000. By 2024, that number had ballooned to an estimated $3.5 million per video. This constant reinvestment created a cycle of insane growth. More money meant bigger ideas meant more views, and more views meant more money. He gave away cars, houses, and even a credit card with no limit. The stakes kept getting higher, turning his channel into a must-watch spectacle where the question wasn't if he would give something away, but how much and in what unbelievable way. By the early 2000s, Jimmy Donaldson wasn't just a YouTuber, he was an institution. He'd turned his personal channel into a media company, MrBeast, LLC, employing dozens of people to execute his wild ideas. On top of his main channel, he launched a fleet of others, Beast Reacts, MrBeast Gaming, and Beast Philanthropy, and each one dominated its own niche. His projects became legendary. In November 2021, he dropped 456,000 Squid Game in real life, a perfect high-budget recreation of the hit Netflix show. He built custom sets and brought in 456 real contestants to compete for a $456,000 grand prize. The video wasn't just a video, it was a global event. And it quickly became one of the most viewed YouTube videos of all time. This was the era of breaking records. In July 2022, he hit 100 million subscribers, joining a very exclusive club. Then, in November 2022, the moment the entire community saw coming finally happened. He officially surpassed Felix PewDiePie Kjellberg to become the most subscribed individual creator on the platform. PewDiePie had held that top spot for nearly a decade. In a symbolic passing of the torch, the crown was now Jimmy's. He acknowledged the moment with humility, tweeting he was doing this for PewDiePie, a nod to the old subscriber battles. But he wasn't done. The only peak left to climb was T-Series, the massive Indian music label and the most subscribed channel on all of YouTube. What once seemed like a joke was now a real possibility. His channel's growth was off the charts, gaining hundreds of thousands of subscribers every day. The gap, which was once tens of millions, was closing fast. Finally, on June 1st, 2024, it happened. MrBeast officially surpassed T-Series to become the single most subscribed channel in the world. The shy 13-year-old who started out making Minecraft videos was now the undisputed king of the platform. As of February 2026, his main channel alone has a staggering 468 million subscribers. It was a victory not just for him, but for every independent creator. Proof that a single, obsessive person could build an empire bigger than a massive corporation. The story of MrBeast is a masterclass in the power of a single-minded focus and a willingness to break all the rules. If you find stories about the people who completely change the game inspiring, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. We explore the strategies and journeys of the world's biggest innovators every week. Hitting the top of YouTube was never the end goal for Jimmy Donaldson. It was just the beginning. With an audience of hundreds of millions, he started expanding his brand into a full-blown business empire. His first big move into physical products was MrBeast Burger, a ghost kitchen brand that used his online fame to create an instant fast food chain. While it was a huge hit at launch, the business ran into trouble with quality control, leading to legal fights and a tough lesson in the challenges of the real world. But it didn't slow him down. He learned, adapted, and launched his next, far more successful brand, Feastables. Launched in early 2022, Feastables is a line of chocolate bars that ties perfectly into his content. Instead of just running ads, he turned the product into a game, hiding golden tickets in wrappers that gave fans a chance to be in one of his videos. The strategy was brilliant. You weren't just buying a chocolate bar, you were buying a lottery ticket for a once-in-a-lifetime experience. The brand exploded. In 2024, Feastables reportedly brought in $251 million in sales and over $20 million in profit. Projections for 2025 estimate it could clear $500 million, making his snack company even more profitable than his YouTube channels. With his businesses thriving, Jimmy set his sights on traditional media. In 2024, he signed a massive deal with Amazon Prime Video, reportedly worth over $100 million, to create Beast Games. The show is planned as the biggest reality competition in history, starting with 1,000 contestants battling for a $5 million prize. It was a huge hit for Amazon, but Jimmy later revealed he actually lost tens of millions on the first season because of the enormous production costs. In true MrBeast style, he saw the loss as an investment. The show was quickly renewed, and Season 2, which aired in early 2026, featured a $5.1 million prize won by U.S. Air Force pilot Tyler Lucas. His charity work also evolved into a formal organization, Beast Philanthropy. The channel documents huge charitable projects funded by its own ad revenue and donations, like building classrooms in Kenya, funding surgeries for 1,000 blind people, and drilling wells to provide clean water across Africa. In August 2025, he co-launched Team Water, a campaign that raised over $40 million to bring clean water to 2 million people. From MrBeast 6000 to the undisputed king of YouTube, Jimmy Donaldson's journey is a blueprint for obsession. He figured out that in today's world, attention is the most valuable currency, and he became a master at capturing it. He did it not by following trends, but by creating them. He did it not by chasing profit, but by giving it all away. And he did it not by being the loudest person in the room, but by being the most persistent. His formula seems simple now. Make videos that are impossible to ignore, reinvest every penny to make the next one even bigger, and build a brand around generosity. He turned YouTube videos into global events and acts of kindness into viral spectacles. The shy kid who started with 0 views and 0 friends didn't just find an audience. He built an entire world, a world where 468 million people are waiting to see what he'll do next. He looked at the rules of media, entertainment, and business and decided to write his own. And in doing so, he achieved his one seemingly impossible dream.